Hi, so I'm here with the latest regarding the death of Nathi Mthethwa. So first of all, I want to send condolences to the Mthethwa family. Now on a video yesterday, I promised that whenever there's new information, I'm going to keep you guys updated. So there's been new information. So everything I'm going to be talking about today is coming from the French officials. So it's coming from the police who are investigating the case. I don't think we have received a statement yet from DECO, from the Department of International Relations and Cooperation. So this is coming from the French side. So up until this point, the conclusion seems to be going towards the fact that this was a suicide, that the former ambassador went to the hotel and ended his life. So I'm going to talk about the timeline. So I was able to put together a timeline coming from different news sources and the investigators. Now, like I said, I'm not an expert. I'm relying on information that is being provided by the French. So we're going to start on Monday, the 29th of September. So the first point here is that around 3 p.m. in the afternoon, the former ambassador's phone died. So the last signal was last received around 3 p.m. in the afternoon. So his phone was last traced at this park called Bois de Boulogne. Now I'm not French, so if I'm murdering the name, I apologize. So his phone was last pinged at the park. Now in the evening, the evening is usually from like 5 up until like 9. So in the evening, a message was received by his wife, and the message was a suicide message. So he sent a message to his wife. So there's a bit of an inconsistency there with the timeline, because what did he use Wi-Fi? His phone was last seen in the park. The phone sent the message way later. So there must just be an inconsistency with the reporting of the timeline. Probably when time goes on, they're going to be able to resolve this inconsistency. So okay, so his phone died in the park, and then the message was received by his wife. Now the message was a suicide message. So he was telling her that he's going to unalive himself. As soon as she received it, she went straight to the police, and then she filed a missing report, a missing persons report. The police went out to look for him. Now the first place they went to is the park. Why? Because his phone last registered him in the park. Now they went there with canine and dogs, looked for him, didn't find him. When they couldn't find him there, they went to the hotel. So probably they checked the system and found that yes, he did book himself a room in the hotels. Now the booking seems to have happened a couple of days before. I think it's about 10 days or so before. So the room was already reserved for that room in the 22nd floor. So they went to the hotel, talked with the staff, they went up to the room, and they didn't find him. So the room was there, but he wasn't in there. They didn't find him, and then they left. So that is on Monday on the 29th. Now on Tuesday, which was yesterday on the 30th, a security guard discovered his body. The body was discovered in a courtyard. So if you look at the building here, there is the tall structure, and then at the foot, there's like a foot nyana there around it. So that's the courtyard. Now, this courtyard is not like a rooftop where there are tents and there are chairs where people can go and sit and relax. It's probably just things like satellite dishes and air conditioning. So it's not a place where people usually go. But a security guard found his body there. Then the police were called back. They came, they went to his room, and that's when they checked thoroughly. They found that the window was forcibly opened with a scissor. So the scissor was found in the scene. I don't know how that happens. I don't know if maybe he put the scissor and then used that to open the window. I'm guessing that that information is going to come when they come with a final conclusion about what actually happened. So a scissor was found in the scene. The window, a security window, was forcibly opened. Now, if you ever been to a very high building or a high-rise building, windows at the top floors, they don't usually open easily. Like they're very, very difficult to open for reasons like this, so that no one can just easily open them and then jump or fall by accident. But yeah, he seemed to have found a way to open that, and then according to what they're concluding, he then jumped. Now the other thing is the suicide note. So they found a suicide note. The suicide note was found in his pocket. So it wasn't found in the room. It was found in his pocket, like with his body. Now that's what we know. Now after this, the police went back to the park. They looked even thoroughly, because now it's in the afternoon, so there is daylight, and that's when they found his phone. So his phone was found the following day after they'd already found his body. So the sequence of events is the phone dies, the message is received by his wife. But this part maybe is just an inconsistency of recording. You know how stories just break out and then they just spread. So I'm pretty sure it might be cleared out later. But yes, the message is received, the phone dies in the park. The police go out to look for him in the park. They don't find him. They go to the hotel, go to his room as well, look for him there, don't find him. Then they left. Then in the morning, that's when the security guard discovers the body that has fallen to the courtyard of the hotel, and then they call the police. When the police came, they went back to his room, investigated thoroughly. That's where they found that the window was forcibly opened, and then that's probably how he got access to be able to jump. When they go and check the body, that's when they found the suicide note. So that is the story as it stands. So in the end, if it is concluded to be a suicide, a lot of people are already pointing out to the fact that he was mentioned in the Matlanga Commission. I'm pretty sure if you're South African, you've been watching the Matlanga Commission, and a lot of names have been named there by Mkhwanazi and now by Dumisani Khumalo. So many people are saying, yeah, he was mentioned a couple of days ago. Probably this is the reason why he committed suicide. So I was looking at this thing and tried to think about it. And to me, it doesn't make any sense. If this was the reason, it doesn't make sense. Now, let me be clear. I am not an expert. I'm not a mental health expert in any way or form. So I'm not going to speak like an expert. I'm just talking about it like a layman. Now, when I'm looking at this Matlanga Commission, yes, Mthethwa was mentioned by General Mkhwanazi, but you need to think about it in this way. Mthethwa was Minister of Police between 2009 and 2014. After him, there's been Nkosi Nathi Mthethwa, Fikile Mbalula, Bekicele, and now Mqunu. So when I look at this entire thing, if we are looking at who is at the midst of it, who are people really looking at, who is under pressure out of this thing, it's not Nathi Mthethwa, because he's not like even in the top 5. I feel like if there was a list of people who needs to be jailed tomorrow, I don't think he will be in the top 5. I might not know other things that are happening in the background. I'm just saying from the pressure perspective, that doesn't make any sense. Yes, he was mentioned, but he wasn't summoned. It's not like maybe the president was saying that he was going to recall him from being an ambassador. Maybe he did. We don't know. Maybe some of these things are not happening in public. But I'm just saying that the people who are under the largest amount of pressure here is people like Maumera, Mqunu, Shadrach, Spear, and Muhotsi. Those are the people who are being mentioned left, right, and center, not Mthethwa. Because so far, even though his name was mentioned, you can't really say that there was anything legally binding that was like forcing him now to do such an act, like he was in deep, deep, deep trouble, unless if there's other things happening behind the scenes that we are not aware of. And also, he's not even in South Africa. He's in France. Like very, very, very far away. It's not like on his day to day, whenever he's meeting people, they're like, hey, you were mentioned. So I don't think if this does end up being suicide, it will connect to the Matlanga Commission. I just don't think so. But then again, I'm not an expert in mental health. I don't know what was going on with him. So I'm just speculating from a layman's point of view here. Now, on top of that, we saw that Dumisani Khumalo has fallen ill. The person who's supposed to be coming with more and more evidence, which are going to be implicating more and more people, had just fallen ill. Now, the timing is just crazy. The day before, one of the people who are mentioned dies. And then the following day, the person who's coming with evidence has fallen ill. Not sick, not a bit of flu nyana here and there, he has a fever. No, ill. So we kind of see how this one plays out. But yeah, just thought I should mention it, that the commission didn't continue today because the key witness has fallen ill. So we're gonna see how it goes. From now on, the only other time I'm gonna give you guys an update is when the final verdict has been put out, the final official statement of the cause of death and the events that have happened have come out. If we need to investigate that or talk about it or discuss it, we'll definitely do that. What I think is that if it was indeed suicide, it was probably something else. It was something that doesn't relate fully to this. This might have added a bit of pressure, but I don't think he was in the midst of it to the point in which we would expect something like this to happen. But then again, I'm not an expert, so I'm not going to say it as if I know what was going on in his head or what was going on in his life. So that's all for today. You can discuss in the comment sections, what do you think about this new timeline and the evidence that are coming out? What do you think really happened? And we can discuss this in the comment section. And if you like geopolitics or anything that can affect Africa and South Africa in particular, please go and subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'm also there on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. Just search for The African Point of View and you're gonna see our logo. That's where you can find us. If you're watching from anywhere else, please go and find us on YouTube and subscribe, and I'm gonna see you there.